Hi, I'm Monica Packer from About Progress, and this is a growth spurt, a bite-sized way you can increase your progress today. Back in February, I did something that I hadn't done in many years. My friend Rachel Nielsen from 3 and 30 Takeaways for Moms podcast and I have gathered several times over the years to take a weekend to just come together and work all weekend. I hadn't done this since 2022, and it was about time. I had a tremendous amount of tasks that had to be done and little to no time to do it. We went to her in-laws' cabin in beautiful Sun Valley and truly worked all day for about 2 or 3 days straight, and it was heavenly. As we were there, we were talking about this concept of body doubling. And maybe you've heard about it. A lot of people with ADHD find it to be really helpful. And it's when you have a body nearby watching or doing the same thing as you feel like you are more able to get the things done. And I do this with my kids all the time. Like if some of my kids get really distracted, and if I'm even just in the room while they're doing what they need to do, then they're more able to do it. And while we were talking about that, Rachel and I both mentioned how great it would be to get together and do a non-work work weekend where you and other moms get together and all you do are all the tasks that need to be done, but you don't have time or really energy in your normal day-to-day life to get the things done. I'm thinking about this now, especially as we're approaching spring and summer season, and I'm sure you have a lot of to-dos, from scheduling sports to putting things on the family calendar to figuring out who needs to be where during the summer about your summer trips, even down to figuring out who needs shoes and swimsuits and who's going to what school next year and what their schedule is. There's so much there. Or maybe you have some bigger family systems that you want to really plot out and eventually put in place. So in that spirit, I want to suggest you take a work weekend, but not for a literal job, whether or not you have one inside or outside of the home, but more for your tabled tasks that continue to pile up to a never-ending litany that just stresses you out. This is especially good for those mental load kind of tasks that you just carry around with you everywhere. Get a friend, go to one of their houses. If you can afford it, get a cheap hotel room. Rachel and I have done that several times in the past. The lobby can be your workspace. You can bring your own food. Rachel was nice enough to get our food for this time, and we just made some meals, and we also got 1 or 2 meals out. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can actually even just be a night, but regardless of how you plan it, I think it would be so not only fun, but productive to get away from your day-to-day life and be able to complete the tasks that are going to make that day-to-day life run more smoothly. I had a friend who actually told me about this sort of idea years ago. Her name is Lisa Shader. She's been on the podcast 2 times in the past. She's a finance expert, and you can find her at Money Fit Moms. But years and years ago, she told me that at the end of every year, in preparation for the new year, she checks herself into a hotel room and she spends time reflecting on the past year and plotting out her goals for the next year. Now, if you know Lisa, she's not this like bougie person. And so I imagine that hotel is not like the Four Seasons, but she does that for herself so that she can actually have the brain space and the literal space to do the things that she needs to do in order to make returning back home so much better and easier. So regardless of if you are in need of checking off the to-do list, designing bigger systems for your family, getting clarity on your own values or the goals that you have, consider taking a non-work work weekend by yourself or with friends. I highly recommend it. And if you are an introvert like me, I would suggest maybe just doing it with one friend. But if you're an extrovert and you get energy from other people, this may be the time to include lots of women. Be sure that everyone's on the same page about it being a non-work work weekend and getting things done. If you try this out, I would love to hear about it. You can always DM me on Instagram at About Progress. Before we go, I want to do a quick progressor spotlight. This is where I just share about some good things our progressors are sharing. I recently did an episode with Melanie Papworth about emergency preparedness for the scared to prepare. And in one of the posts I did on this, I had a great comment from some people saying this is what they do. Widows Might Finance on Instagram said that you should consider what dangers tend to happen more in your area. So she says in Utah, she needs to be more prepared for earthquakes, but someone in Texas or Kansas may be more focused on tornadoes. So that's a very good piece of advice. Another user told me that she makes sure she always has rechargeable light bulbs. So that way when the light goes out, she has that. And she also has flashlights that are plugged into each room, which I thought was fantastic. And Brad made me laugh this morning because he finished listening to that episode and I didn't even know he had listened to it. I came into the room and he said, you know what we need? We need to get water. And I'm like, you're right. We just need to get some water. He's like, you know what else we need? And then he rattled off a couple other things that Melanie had shared in that episode. So love sharing the wins that we have as a community. That's it for today's Growth Spurt. Thank you so much for listening. Now go and do something with what you learned today.